It all started when Dr. Levy wrote a newspaper article backing the government's controversial anti-bikie laws. He was then caught out, denying that the Premier's media advisor had coached him on what to write. Despite this scandal, the government has legislated.
Well, welcome to another 3-point edit tutorial, or maybe a quick overview this time. I thought we'd start with something a little bit different. But this application I have open at the moment is the Aurora edit system from Grass Valley, and this is what I have to use it for my work as a news editor in the business for the employer that I work for. And it's very rudimentary as far as FX or doing any sort of graphics works goes. It's really just designed to put together short, simple stories. It has a basic traditional video editing layout, as you can see, with an audio track and video tracks. Here, for example, is a clip and a bit of VO and clip. And what I've done is repeat my voice track a number of times and then put some vision on top of that, various types of backgrounds that I'll need in their already allocated positions relative to the sound. And that's from there I will send this clip out as a flat file or a QuickTime file to use in Blender in the VSE. So let's go there now. And here we are in Blender. So what I propose to do is import the files that I have just created. So let's add a strip now, and we'll go up to Movie. Because I want the audio, I'm going to import it as a video strip. So what I want is the Levy GFX background. Here it is here. Now it's composed, if I press the home button, it's composed of all the elements with the voiceover, corresponding voiceover in their correct positions. So what I need to do is chop that up into the pieces that I need, or roughly the right segments. I could have exported them one at a time, but I haven't done that today. So let's turn on the waveform for this audio. Here it is. Zoom into this. Let's make this a little bit larger so we can see where the repeated audio occurs. Now I need to make this a bit longer so I can play through the segments that I want. I think it completes here. Come back a little bit. Cut that. Let's see. This is difficult. My keyboard's not behaving the way I expect today. So now I've got that duration. I know all the others are going to be the same. I don't need the audio anymore, so I'll get rid of that, and I can put this on top. Let's go to the first frame, snap that, and into the last frame. Have I got all the add-ons, Trig add-ons, jump to cut? Let's have a, whoops, don't want to mark out. Cut next, that's what we want. So cut this, K for cut, grab it, move it back up to the start. So let's cut. But effectively what I've done now is stacked a whole bunch of B-roll or vision one on top of the other. So what I want to do is let's have a look at what's on these tracks. Whoops. Starting on track 2, background, that's this one. Then we go up one, the subject matter, up another one, some motorcyclists, up another track, Parliament, up one more track, exterior of Parliament. So I want to merge all of these into a variety of different images. So this is my background. I'm going to have that as a base. I'm not going to affect that particularly. Maybe I can knock down the bright. Now this background was created in Final Cut. It's just a generic background that I had laying around. What I'm going to do is add a modifier, whoops, not a color balance. I'm going to add curves, just going to change the contrast so it's not quite as bright. Whoops, and I am altering the wrong one. Background, that's what I want. Strip, curve, and then pull the top down bit. Like that. Now it's made it a bit milky, pull the saturation back perhaps, and let's a little bit bluer, there we go. So start with that. Now what I want next, we'll go up a track to this man. So this is on track 2, this is my subject matter here. What I want to do though is cut a shape around him and superimpose him on the screen. So I'll do that by changing this to the, it could be the movie clip editor, but I'm not loading his movie up because he isn't a movie clip. So let's go to the UV image editor. I've created a 16 by 9 new image there already that conforms to my space that I'll be using, same as this shape here. So I'm going to create a new mask. So create a new mask, mask head, like this. I'm going to roughly position it in a similar position as over here, so just off center. Going to go add, circle mask, scale that up somewhat, move it across, drag some of these points around so that it is a vaguely similar shape to the subject. Unfortunately, I can't use a video strip in the background to actually show you. I'm going to shift click on one of these points, whoops, to create a feather, shift click and drag with the left mouse button to create a nice wide feather like that. And now I'm going to turn on that strip again, and we're going to add a strip modifier for a mask. And search for the mask, whoops, turn on mask, search for mask. I just made mask head, some of those I've already created. Let's modify this. Click refresh sequencer, refresh sequencer, go down here and click refresh sequencer again, drag these points, looks pretty good, I think. Cut out a nice soft mask there, maybe pull that in a little bit more, there we go. So that's isolated my talent fairly well. Now, we have a mask turned on. Now I'm not seeing the background bleed through, so I need to change the blend type from cross to say overdrop. And now he's superimposed on the background. So I can see from the black where the vision started that I wanted him to commence. So what I want him to do is maybe fade in and move across the screen. Just a moment, I'm going to turn on an additional add-on. And here is the add-on that I was looking for. It's the VSE Transform tool. It's very useful. Save that. So now I'll have to make a bit of space though, because what happens is it creates a new transform track above the strip that you activate. So I'm just going to, whoops, make a bit of room. Now I'm looking at, I guess, the wrong track. I'm not changing the background, I didn't have to change that one. Let's find, there it is there on this track, track 4. I'm going to press T for transform tool, and it gives me a new layer transform, suitably transformed. I'm not looking at it, of course, so I need to pop up to layer 5. Now if I right mouse click on the correct object, I'm going to get a highlight. I want to change his opacity, so I'll go back to where he changes black. There it is there. I'm going to change the opacity there, so let's see, alpha, I'm not going to change it there, I'll try changing it here. So let's cycle that out to 0, create a keyframe, move in somewhat, send it back up to 1, create another keyframe. I think you might fade out at the end as well. So let's see there, 0, move back here, whoops, and fade out, so another keyframe there, so there's his fade out. Now we'll move back to the move, going to create a keyframe location, move along to here somewhere, going to press G, and then constraint to the x-axis, move him across, create another keyframe. Okay, so now when I hit play, he moves across like that and fades up. Now the next item of business is a new track. I want these bikies, so I'm going to press T for transform tool again. I need to increase this a track so I can see what's on the transform track. I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to press S for scale, constrain to x-axis, narrow them up a little bit, and G and X to move them across because I want them over here out of the way, and they're going to stay like that. Now I've already created a mask for them. It looks like this one, bikie mask, there it is, square one with a fade. Over here on the T track this time, I'm going to turn on the mask modifier, select mask and choose bikie mask, and there it is. The other thing I did was, whoops, where's colour? Change the saturation like this and change their alpha over value. So where they appear around here, I'm going to just lightly alpha them in. Would have been nice to have a screen effect. I've got an add effect. I could do an add perhaps. Have a bit more. Change the contrast. It's a bit extreme though. Yeah, screen would have been nice. Don't have screen. So we go with alpha over. There it is. Just the light fade in. I guess I could change their contrast, but anyway, not for this example. So I'm going to fade them in. So I'll have a keyframe here for their opacity, and fade them out back here. And they have to be gone. Oh, they have to be gone fairly soon. So keyframe again. So they come and go. Save that. To get the graphic to slide across the screen, what I'm going to need is to shoot the graphic. I could, of course, do this in the compositor, or I could slide it in as actually a image in the 3D view, which is what I've chosen to do. Now I'm using the same scene, my scene master, and this camera in my 3D view to achieve that. So let's have a look through the camera view. Press 0 to view through the camera. I'm going to add a 3D object and go down to, I have images as planes turned on as an add-on, and now I'll locate the image that I want to use. So I know that's in Drum and Art, and I want this heading here, import as image, and there it is. However, I only want this portion in the middle. It's a screen grab, and it's about what this person on the screen wrote in a newspaper article. So we're referring to the newspaper article in our television news story. It's very meta. Anyway, what I want to do is edit this UV. So I'm going to go into edit mode. I've selected all of the faces. And in the UV editor up the top here, I'm still in mask mode, I don't want to be in mask mode, I want to be in view. You can see the vertices around here. Right, shift, whoops, wrong window, shift. You can see the vertices here. And when I change these, if I drag that down to here, it will perform a crop on my image. So if I zoom out, you can see that it's distorting the image to accommodate that. So I can do that with all of them, but instead of dragging each one, I'm going to just select them all, A key and scale, and down, so that I get at least the correct height, and then G to drag it across. I want the attribution at the bottom, scale again, G to drag across, and you can see that the face is being remapped with the contents of the UV image editor up here. Scale constrained to Y, so I'm only scaling the height. Scale X, whoops. G to drag across. Hold down the Shift key just to move a bit more slowly. G, oh, not updating very well. I think that's because I have the screen recorder going. Anyway, I think you'll get the idea. GX. There we go. Okay, I'm happy enough with that. So I'd exit edit mode now that I've cropped my image. And what I want to do now is back up to the start where I want this to appear. So listening to the VO, okay, so it says about here that he wrote the newspaper article, so somewhere here I want it to slide into frame. So I'm going to select my plane here, G to drag it and X to constrain it to horizontal, move it out of frame, and then move through my animation. We'll play through this. Okay, so I'm going to stop about there, going to drag that through frame, so I've got G, X to constrain it again, and through frame, like that. Put an I location keyframe there. Oh, did I put one at the start? I didn't. G, X, move it back again, here, I for location, I keyframe, there we are. So now it slides into frame. Thusly. So, if I add this as a layer up here, excuse me, and we start the start, Shift A to add a scene strip, and we're in scene master. Whoops, Shift A, scene master, and there it is down the bottom. I don't want it at the bottom, I want it at the top. G, Y, going up. If I cycle through, it should be appearing here. What track is this on? Track 8. Let's go up to track 8. 9. Track 8's got this shot in it, so G, Y, move that up out of the way. G, Y, move that down. Now I'm not seeing very much there, and in fact it's obscuring the entire view. So is that because there is no light? Let's highlight this. We'll go into properties. So we're going to look at properties for my texture. There we go to shadeless, see if this improves the situation. Yes, there we go. Lack of lighting. It's not rendering every frame very well, but anyway, that's the image that I was after. It's a bit large, scale that down a bit. Now the problem is it's not keying, is it? So let's see if I turn on overdrop, if that improves the situation. No, it doesn't. So that would suggest that the scene is not being rendered with the correct background. So turn on shading, do without ray tracing, do without shadows, subsurf and environment map, and turn on transparent. Hey, look at that. So now I've got a animation of a page going through the frame. However, I still think that might be a bit quick. So let me go up to the graph editor. I'm going to select all of the curve, the animation curve, keyframes. I'm going to select V for vector or handle type, and I'm going to press a vector, and they'll become the same speed animations instead of having a curve to change their speed over time. So if I go this, play back the frame, it just goes through more evenly. Okay, so you're not seeing it very clearly because I've got the recorder turned on. Anyway, it goes through fairly smoothly. Maybe a bit quick, but you could always slow that down. I'll show you how to slow that down. So this is the easiest way to do that. Go to the dope editor, ignore those other ones. We're down here on location, just drag it out so it lasts for longer. Like that. It just slows down the animation so it takes longer to appear on screen. Save that. Now the other thing that I wanted was I didn't want to obscure his face with this graphic, so what I can use there is on the scene strip, what I can do is also add a mask. And this mask is called Words Mask. I'll show you what that looks like. If I go up here, UV image editor again, this time we look at masks and we go through to the one called, oops, that's the images. I should actually load up the blank background. Here we go, headshot. We go through the Words Mask. Okay, so this time it's a mask that holds out the background. So you can see its effect here, that where the fade begins here and transitions to there, that corresponds with this section here over his face. And also it's thin on the side as well. So it appears out of the mist, transitions across and goes back into the mist. Like that. And you can see all this is updating in real time. Can you imagine doing this in the compositor? I can't. This would be terrible in the compositor. So, now the only other thing I had was some additional elements. So, GY, that's right, I used this at the end. And not for the whole thing. So they appear here. I'm going to click the handle on the end of the clip, Shift S to snap it, and now it's been trimmed to the correct beginning point. So I want these people to appear in the background. So I'm going to add another transform effect, go up another layer to track 10. Let's have a look what layer that's on. So what I want to do is similarly squeeze them across to the side and have them move across frame. So I might have them diverge across the other way. So now I have this track turned on, and it is in fact track 10, as we see here, track 10. I'm going to add a it already is a transform effect, I don't want another one. So click on that, and I'm going to add mask, scroll down, mask, mask, which mask this time? Let's try Spiky Mask again. Start. Oops, start in the end position. I want them to end here, so click on that. Keyframe I for keyframe location, and go back to the start, and G, move them across. You'll notice that the mask helpfully does not move with this transform. Whoops, I should be constraining that with an X key. To here, I for location again. And then we want to fade that as well. So this time I'll scroll up to opacity, create a full opacity keyframe there. Go back to the start, so opacity I keyframe, so that they fade into frame like this. And back. Let's stick that in AV Sync and see what that looks like. Okay, and that's about where it runs out anyway, my overlay. So, effectively, that's what it looks like. I did have another page of graphics that I wanted to slide up, but if I add another page here, and I choose this one with some words on it, G, then you'll see that it obscures this other one. Now the normal cure for that would be to move that to another layer and then swap between your layers like this so that one does not interfere with another. So that animation will look like that, but I cannot get both of these layers to appear on screen at the same time, unfortunately. So it's a bit of a problem. Whoops, one of my layers has decided to misbehave. Oh, that's because I've turned off my layer. I need to turn that layer back on. There we go. So yes, I can't access layers for my scene strips. There is nowhere to turn on a layer. I get to scene or no scene. Perhaps no. Maybe I could have two scene strips with different cameras. I'd have to investigate that, but I think that they won't show me the same scene. Oh, wait. I've just realized there is a way of doing this. So I wanted to have this text appear on the screen, and at the same time I want to be able to animate another piece of text onto the screen, and I do that by adding another frame of text via the add plane, add images plane I should say. But in this case I'm using this camera in the 3D view, and on the scene strip properties you can see that I choose a camera. Now what happens if I have, ta-da, another camera in the same scene? Then all I have to do is shoot my background image with this alternate camera and feed that to a duplicate or another version of the strip. So watch what happens when I duplicate the strip. Shift D, constrain with the G and the Y key, and I change to this other camera. Ta-da! Let's see, did I animate this camera? Yes, I have. And it's a simple matter of changing its opacity. And now it's also rolling up through frame. So I can animate these without having to jump through other scenes and losing sync and having to jump back into this scene to see how it looks. I can animate them all in the one 3D view just by adding additional rostrum cameras, or at least that's what we used to call these cameras on stands that you put graphics in front of. It's just like the good old days. Of course now I can also change the time that these happen. So if I want this view to happen earlier, I simply grab the scene strip and move it back. Pretty scary, isn't it? It's making it come from the future. So there it is there. And of course the animation doesn't happen yet. It hasn't happened in this view because it's happening in the scene strip view. Very, very cool. I like this. Except it hasn't gone out of frame. So let me see. Where is my... Press the home key, find the end frame. Oh, I know, we'll go back to the job sheet and snap back to the keyframe. Move it actually up out of frame. Let's go to camera view, there we go. G, Y, move, and update the keyframe location. And now it's left frame, departed from frame. Might have it actually happen later. There we go. So, there we go. I've managed to add an additional camera and a bit of value add for the tutorial. How about that? I guess what I should do is render this out. Thanks very much for watching, and remember to subscribe to the channel. Maybe there'll be some more updates from my TV work there if you're lucky. Thanks very much for watching.
It all started when Dr. Levy wrote a newspaper article backing the government's controversial anti-bikie laws. He was then caught out denying that the Premier's media advisor had coached him on what to write.